I remember waking up that morning to a sky that didn't look right. Instead of the usual pale blue, the sky was glowing a strange shade of orange, like the world was on fire but no flames were visible. It was unsettling, the kind of orange you don't see naturally, the kind that makes your skin crawl. I stepped outside on my porch, the air thick and heavy, smelling faintly metallic and smoky. My coffee cup trembled in my hand as I watched the sun struggle to push through dense clouds that looked more like smoke than clouds. The radio suddenly crackled on, the soft static giving way to a voice that sounded urgent and distant. "This is not a drill. Nuclear strikes have been reported in major cities. Seek immediate shelter." The words hit me like a punch. Nuclear strikes? That was something from movies or history books, not my reality. But the fear in that voice made it clear this was real. I spilled my coffee in shock, then scrambled to gather supplies: water bottles, canned food, a flashlight, and my old baseball bat. My neighborhood was in chaos. People ran through the streets, faces pale and panicked. Phones and TVs flickered out. The internet died. I grabbed my backpack and headed to the train station after receiving a mysterious text. "Meet me at the station. It's not safe here." No name, no explanation. The streets emptied fast. Shops shut their doors, cars sped away. A thick dust cloud made it hard to breathe. At the station, I met a man named Mark, who was tracking strange radio signals, messages hidden in the static that seemed like warnings or calls for help. Together, we stepped into a dark control room filled with flickering monitors and eerie silence, aware we were on the brink of something far worse than explosions. The train station was like a forgotten fortress, holding on to the last traces of a world slipping away. The dim fluorescent lights flickered weakly, barely pushing back the darkness that filled the corridors. Dust floated in the stale air, particles catching what little light there was. Mark led me through narrow hallways lined with cracked walls and rusted pipes, the smell of stale coffee and old machinery clinging to the air. In the control room, monitors buzzed and flickered with static, displaying maps dotted with blinking red alerts. The hum of a dying generator filled the room, mixing with the soft crackling of radios searching desperately for signals. Mark's eyes were glued to the screens, fingers flying over keyboards as he tried to decode the strange patterns emerging in the static. "These aren't just random noises," he said quietly, voice tense. "Someone or something is sending us messages, a language we don't yet understand. It's like a warning, or maybe a cry for help." He pointed to a chalkboard filled with strange symbols and numbers scrawled in white chalk, diagrams trying to make sense of the chaos. At night, footsteps circle the station. No one sees who's there, but we hear them. We're being watched, tested. The silence outside was broken only by distant crashes and the soft echo of those footsteps, growing closer. The world outside had become a dangerous place, but inside this dusty station, the danger was something else entirely. Something unseen, watching from the shadows. We stayed up all night staring at the flickering screens and listening to the crackling radio. The static was hypnotic, white noise that swallowed everything else. Suddenly, through the haze of interference, a pattern appeared. Soft pulses, rhythmic beats like a heartbeat beneath the noise. Mark adjusted the radio, his hands shaking. "Listen." A distorted voice broke through the static, broken and faint, almost like a whisper from another world. It spoke of danger approaching, something unseen but inevitable, a threat beyond comprehension. We replayed the message over and over, trying to catch the fragments and piece together the meaning. It was a warning, a test, maybe even a lure designed to pull us deeper into the darkness. Outside, the footsteps returned. Soft, stalking, circling the station like predators waiting to strike. We sat frozen, caught between the alien voice and the creeping fear that wrapped around us like a shadow. That night, I realized this wasn't just about surviving bombs or chaos outside. It was about facing something far older and far more terrifying. Something watching, waiting, ready to step into our world. The night dragged on, cold and endless, shadows stretching long and dark across the walls. The footsteps outside grew louder, closer, circling the station like ghosts hunting their prey. The door creaked with a slow, eerie groan, pushed by something invisible. A shadow flickered just beyond the cracked window, too quick, too silent to be human. The power flickered and went out for a heartbeat, plunging us into pitch black before the monitors flickered back to life. The chalkboard's symbols seemed to glow faintly, alive with some strange energy. Mark gripped a wrench tightly, eyes darting around the room, muscles tense. We held our breath, waiting for whatever was outside to make its move. The silence screamed in our ears, louder than any noise. Then, just as suddenly as it had come, the footsteps stopped. The watchers chose to wait, and the world shifted again, deeper into the unknown. In that moment, I understood we were no longer safe anywhere. The station was a fragile sanctuary on the edge of a new kind of nightmare. Days passed in a blur of cold silence and static whispers. Mark and I worked tirelessly, decoding the strange messages hidden within the noise. Every pattern, every symbol on the chalkboard, slowly began to form something resembling a language. It wasn't human, not completely, but it was communication. One night, we finally cracked a phrase. "They come for the light." The words sent a chill through me. What was coming for the light? Was it the footsteps, the shadows? Something beyond the bombs and the chaos. Mark's face grew grim. They're not just watching anymore. They're preparing. We fortified the station, barricading doors and windows, stockpiling what little supplies we had left. The world outside was gone, but inside, a new war was beginning. One we weren't ready for. Then the signals changed. No longer whispers, but cries of warning, desperate and urgent. It was clear. We were not alone, and whatever was out there was moving closer. The final night arrived with a silence that crushed all hope. The footsteps were louder than ever, pounding against the walls like thunder. The air grew cold, the shadows deeper and darker, swallowing every flicker of light. Mark and I prepared for the inevitable, our makeshift weapons clutched tightly. The monitors flickered, the chalkboard glowing wildly with symbols I could barely understand. The alien language was no longer a puzzle, it was a prophecy. Suddenly, the door burst open and shadows poured in like smoke. They moved with unnatural speed, soundless but filled with a terrible presence. I felt the cold grip of fear, but also something deeper, a strange awe at the unknown forces that had come for the light. The battle that followed was brutal and chaotic, a desperate fight for survival in a world that no longer felt human. And as dawn broke, the sky slowly returned to its normal blue. But everything had changed forever. We had faced the darkness, and some part of it had looked back.